Hey students, welcome back to Buddy. So when we left off, the family was staying in the shelter, and Daddy, little Tina man, they went to New Orleans to check out the neighborhood, and they were told by Brother James that they cannot return to their house on their street because it's like going through a lake. Okay. We found out that Mrs. Washington died, and I asked you to write a note of encouragement to little T. So now we're going to move into chapter 21. We're going to find out what happened. Are they still staying in the shelter? Do they move somewhere else? Does little T find Buddy? Where do they live? What's happening? Okay, so I hope you're enjoying the story and the journey along with me. Chapter 21. The next day, okay, so this is the day after Daddy and little T and the man had visited New Orleans. So now it's the next day in the shelter. The next day, I just lay there on my cot. Some boys in the shelter are starting to make gangs. They're coming up to people and acting big. The boss of the shelter takes them and puts them in a room with a counselor. I'm thinking about what that would be like, sitting in a room with this white lady saying, "What's troubling you now?" And I think, what do you say first? The bathrooms in this shelter stink. I can't eat watery red beans and rice one more time. I want my own clothes, not these ones with somebody else's name written in the neck. I want to watch the TV shows I like. I want a place where I can be by myself. I want my dog. I'm laying there and I close my eyes and I go flying. I go right out the window and over the broke pine trees and all that black water, and I land right on the roof of our house. I lean over the edge and I look at the bathroom window. Is that window covered up with water? Is it high and dry? Is it broke open? Is Buddy gone, roaming the streets and looking for food? Is he sitting there in the corner, panting in the heat and cocking up his eyebrow, just waiting for me to come let him loose? Or is he? And that's where the flying stops. I can't see nothing else. So little T really is not flying. He's not in an airplane flying to the house, but his mind wanders. His mind takes a trip to the house and he's wondering, what does it look like? How is Buddy doing? So in his mind, he took like a little bit of a flight. Daddy's gone almost all day. When he shows up that evening, I'm still laying on my cot playing my Game Boy. And Grandpa T is laying on his cot looking at his pictures. "What are you looking at?" Daddy says to Grandpa T. "Your mama," Grandpa T says, and hands one of the pictures to Daddy. "She's been gone a long time," he says, "but I'll be seeing her again soon." What does that mean? What does that mean that Grandpa T thinks that he's going to see his wife again soon? She passed away a long time ago. He's looking at pictures. He's reminiscing. He's having memories. Does Grandpa T think he's going to pass away soon? Is he getting tired? "What are you talking about? You've got a long time yet," Daddy says. "It's going to be all right now. We're leaving the shelter. I've got a job." Mama sings out, "Praise the Lord." Grandpa T sits up. "Where are you working?" Daddy says, "Right here in town. I'm going to help them clear up all these trees. Going to work with the same crew I helped before." "But where are we going to live?" Mama says. "The church will give us a place to start," Daddy says, "and it's all furnished." That means there's furniture in the rooms. There's beds and bureaus and dressers, tables, chairs. See, furnished, you get the word furniture from furnished. And we get 3 months free. Then we pay rent. Hallelujah, Mama says. Praise God. Daddy looks down at me. And the kids are going back to school again, right here in town. But when are we moving back to New Orleans, I say. I hope never, Mama says. Next time I see that place will be too soon for me. I want to go home, I say. This is home now, Daddy says. We're starting over. Okay, so Daddy's got a job in Mississippi. The church is giving them an apartment, and that's it. They're living in Mississippi. What does this mean for little T? What does this mean for Buddy? They put us up in an apartment building on the other side of town. Stacked up on top of ours are maybe 3 more apartments, and they each have a balcony stuck on the front. We've got a little square of grass that I could cut in 5 minutes with a pair of scissors. Right in front of our grass is the parking lot, and then there's a 6-lane highway with cars blasting back and forth all day long and making a circle all the way around the whole town. Everywhere you look, there's plenty of cars, cement, and buildings. But one thing there ain't hardly any of is trees. There weren't too many to start with, and whatever there was got broke off in the storm. There ain't no iron fences neither, and there ain't no front porches or steps to sit on. There ain't no corner to the street, and as far as I can see, there ain't no end to it neither. So little T is not used to living in an apartment. He's used to having a house and a backyard with trees and grass, and now he's stuck in an apartment. Well, Tanya's standing out front, clapping her hands and pointing at the raggedy flower boxes hanging on the front windows of every first-floor apartment. Baby Terrell is trying to walk up the sidewalk to the wrong apartment. Mama's saying, how are we going to remember which one is ours? Grandpa T's saying, he thinks we're up to it. Then Daddy puts the key in the drawer and in we go. That apartment ain't hardly as big as the first floor of our house in New Orleans. It's mostly one big room with the kitchen and the table and the TV. And then off to the side are 2 little bedrooms. Grandpa T stretches out on the sofa and says, he guesses he'll sleep there because that's where he spends most of his time anyway. Mama and Daddy take the bedroom that has a big bed, a crib, and a bureau with 4 drawers. Daddy opens those drawers and laughs, and says, all he needs now is some clothes. And Mama says, he better not get too many because that's where she plans to put hers. The other bedroom has 2 twin beds so close together, you almost have to turn sideways to get between them. Mama says, me and Tanya get that room, and we have to make up our minds which bed is whose. Which one you want? I say to Tanya. She's standing there looking and looking, trying to decide. I push past her. I pick this one, I say, and lay down on the one furthest from the door. But I want that one. Too late, I say. I turn over and stare at the wall. The next morning, Daddy starts his job, and Mama takes us down to the school office. They give us uniforms for the school. They've got a whole big room set up with cafeteria tables loaded down with red and white shirts and khaki shorts and skirts. They've got piles of belts in one corner and a whole stack of book bags in another. When we walk in, the ladies are all smiles. They say how they are so glad we can come to their school. They say how all the families gave their old uniforms so the Katrina kids can come to school. They tell Mama one store in town gave away all these book bags. They give her a piece of paper to take to some other place where somebody else is giving out free paper and pencils. So it's a public school, but in public schools, some public schools, they wear uniforms, especially down south. And the people in the community donated uniforms and book bags and pencils and paper to the misplaced kids like little T and Tanya. They're patting us on the back and holding shirts up against my chest. They're saying, what a strong looking boy I am. They're saying, how Tanya is cute as a button. Tanya's showing all her teeth in her grin, and I'm thinking I'm tireder than I've ever been in my whole life. I'm thinking I just want to go back to that apartment and climb in my bed and go to sleep. Of course, little T's not excited about starting a new school. He doesn't know anyone. All he can think about is Buddy. Okay? That night, Daddy is worn out at supper. He's saying he's awful out of shape, but he'll get stronger. Mom is saying she made his favorite roast. Grandpa T's saying he thinks he can fix up the apartment so the doors don't squeak if somebody would buy a little can of WD-40. Tanya's saying her doll likes the new bed. Baby Terrell is sitting in the high chair somebody gave us and rubbing his hands in his peas. After looking at that, I'm thinking I don't even want to eat. I just want to go to bed. I'm still tired the next morning when I head off to school. My teacher's name is Mrs. Watson. She looks like she's about 6 feet tall. She's got red hair hanging down to her shoulders. She's wearing a blue dress. I walk in the door and she looks up and she says, "Ah, Tyrone, welcome." And I think to myself, I ain't Tyrone. Of course not. It's called Little T. But in this new school and in Mississippi, and Mrs. Watson, she doesn't know that, right? She's just looking at the class list and she's welcoming him. She doesn't know his nickname. She shows me where to hang up my bag. She hands me a stack of books. She shows me a desk. It has my name written on a card, taped right on the tabletop. I sit down. I look around. Everybody's busy doing something, writing or drawing or something. One boy lifts up his head and gives me a look. One girl turns around and grins, like she's my best friend, but she ain't. All of a sudden, I wish Jamila was here. Or even J-Boy. He was mean about Buddy, and he stole the lawnmower, but he's still somebody I know. Mrs. Watson squats down beside me and looks me straight in the eye. Her eyes are almost green. We have 6 new students because of Katrina, she says. We've been talking about what happened, and we've decided to make a book. Everybody's doing something to go in it. Would you rather write or draw? I don't say anything. I just put my head down on my arms. Then I feel her touching my shoulder. I figure she's already going to send me to the principal. I sit up. Why don't you draw? She says, and hands me a piece of paper and a pack of colored pencils. She stands up again and walks away. I look at my paper. Ain't nobody going to help me. It's all on me. I pick up a black pencil. I draw a dog. Then I draw water. Okay. That's what little T draws. That's all he could think about. He's supposed to write or draw about something about what's happened in his life in New Orleans to go into this book. And he's drawing what's in his heart. Water and a dog. I know you guys are getting sad now, and don't worry. There are a lot of twists and turns to this story. But hang in there. I think it's a really good story, and I love the way the author is telling it. Okay, let's look at chapter 21 notes. Okay, they start off in the shelter, but then they have a new apartment, which is in Mississippi. And the new character is Mrs. Watson, little T's new teacher. Shelter life is miserable, right? The boys are forming gangs and it's just a mess. Little T keeps thinking about Buddy. Grandpa T misses his deceased wife, his wife that passed away. But Daddy gets a job, right? He gets him out of the shelter. He gets a job. He steps up, right? Little T's family move into a very small apartment that has few trees, little grass, and is surrounded by a highway and lots of pavement. Little T is not used to that. And little T starts a new school. He feels out of place and he misses Jamila and even J-Boy. Here's the quote. I pick up a black pencil. I draw a dog. Then I draw water. Here's the stop and jot. Do you think little T will ever fit in at his new school and the apartment? Explain why or why not. Now, what do you know about little T, right? Is he one that gives up? Does he make plans? But at the same time, think about how sad he is and how he misses Jamila and J-Boy. But what do you think? Will he ever fit in? Will he ever get used to his new school and also that apartment? Okay, that's it. I'll see you soon when we Zoom. Bye.